Mr. Chairman, I'm proud that 2 of my bills to increase transparency and lower patient costs are included in today's markup. Last year, 40% of Americans put off needed medical care because of the cost. We know people are choosing not to fill their medications or rationing their supply because the cost of prescription drugs is burdening families. In the United States of America, that's unacceptable, and it's time for us to change the system. We can start by looking at the steps between when a drug is made and when it gets into the patient's hands. My bipartisan bill, the PBM Accountability Act, will increase transparency requirements for pharmacy benefit managers who play an important behind-the-scenes role in setting the price of prescription drugs. The PBM Accountability Act will help shed light on how decisions on pricing are made by requiring that PBMs file regular reports about how some drugs are covered, valued, and categorized. Increasing transparency around PBMs will help improve the prescription drug pricing system, ensuring that patients are able to access and afford the drugs that they need. I thank my colleague, Chairman Guthrie, Ranking Member Eshoo, and Representative Buddy Carter for their partnership on this issue. This is bipartisan, common-sense policy to eliminate unnecessary hurdles in accessing lower-cost drugs. Another barrier that patients face when they're prescribed medication is the high price of brand-name drugs and lack of availability of lower-cost generic options. I've been working closely with both generic drug manufacturers and the FDA to identify ways to bring generic drugs to market faster. I'm glad that a version of my bill is included in today's markup, the Increasing Transparency in Generic Drug Applications Act. This policy promotes lower-cost generic options for patients by ending the guessing game that manufacturers play when submitting an application to the FDA. The Increasing Transparency in Generic Drug Applications Act requires FDA to inform manufacturers about the differences that their product has from the brand name or reference product. These differences can prevent the application from moving forward, delay the generic drug from coming to market, and unnecessarily increase costs for consumers and for the federal government. To improve this process, we should allow the FDA to share more details with manufacturers about the differences between their proposed generic and the name brand. This will remove a needless hurdle that manufacturers have to face to bring their product to patients. While I'm pleased to see this general policy is considered today, what's in front of the committee is not the most effective path forward. We need to be able to give manufacturers specific details about how to change their application instead of just telling them, quote, more or less. The Senate Health Committee passed a policy that would empower FDA with these specific details by a bipartisan vote 19-2. We need to allow the FDA to use all the tools at their disposal to advance prescription drug innovations. Therefore, I urge this committee to consider changes to the bill to make it effective as possible. I thank you again to my colleagues in the committee for supporting these important policies, and I look forward to working with you to increase transparency and lower healthcare costs for people across the country, and I yield back.